Another video on this cheap pollock, from this cheap frozen pollock from the supermarket. So I am always on the hunt for cheap meals that I can do at functions, that I can give people value for money. To buy fish to do fish and chips, I'm just putting this back in the freezer. It's going to be a little bit of noise. So if I'm to buy fish from the wholesalers, it's quite big and it's also kind of quite expensive, whereas these are not a bad size, but they are extremely good price. So I need to see if we can cook these, deep fry them in some batter, and what kind of size they'll come at. Like now, I can't, if I'm doing a cheap function for someone, they can't expect to have massive fish. You know, like you can have bigger fish, but it'll cost you more. What do you want? Do you want bigger fish and pay more, or do you want smaller fish and to pay a cheap price? So I want to kind of see how they turn out when they're deep fried. I did them before, but I cut them in half, and now I kind of thought, oh, I should have done it at the time. I should have had a bigger pan, more oil, and used the whole fillets. And then we've also got some seafood sticks from other faffing around videos. So I kind of thought what we'd do is we'd have a go at battering these and deep frying them. I think I'm going to flatten a couple of them out, and then we'll leave one whole so it's more like a fish finger, and we'll kind of see how it turns out. So simple batter, self-raising, a bit of salt actually, self-raising flour. If we're using self-raising flour, that's the one that's got the raising agent already in it. If we're using that, we kind of have to make the batter quick and use it quick. Otherwise I would have used plain flour and some baking powder, and then put a little bit of vinegar in. But some people put corn flour in, some people put a little bit of vodka in, some people put beer in, but those are more expensive, aren't they? So hopefully we'll see what this turns out like. So we'll do 2 in this amount of fat. I'm sure the fat sounds like it must be a bit higher. We'll just turn it up, so drip it in, and then lay it down. I think we might be able to do 3. So I'm cooking 3 because it's Friday night, and isn't Friday fish night? I can't remember. But anyway, so I'm cooking 3 because I'm hungry, and I've been to the patio and I've been swimming, so I feel like I deserve 3 battered fish. I'm justifying being greedy. So knock off most of the batter and then drip in like that, and then the last one, and then we'll just have a look at these. We'll have to cook the seafood sticks separately. I don't think there's going to be enough room in the pan, and also the pan will cool down too much if we put too much stuff in it. You want a good amount of oil in your pan. You know, the less oil you have in it, it will want to cool down too quickly. So you kind of need a certain amount of oil in the pan just to retain the heat of the oil when you start adding some things to it. So I'm just going on look. I'm not doing on have a look at temperature or anything like that. So just using a bit of flour. So what I'm going to do, I think, can we see? So I think I'll just flatten them out a bit out of interest. And dust them in a bit of flour. I kind of hopefully like they'll go crispy on the outside. That was my idea anyway. If we kind of flatten them out a bit, then they might kind of go a little bit crispy, like a bit like a onion bhaji type of thing. But the fats get a bit noisy, and I can really do the extraction on. So we shall return when this fish is cooked, and hopefully it hasn't stuck to the bottom of the pan. No, it hasn't. Right, so we can turn that up and see if it comes a nice golden colour. Right, they're certainly cooked. They're just not particularly golden brown. I'm not entirely sure why. but I am not an expert on dried fish. I don't think these are going to be quite big enough. Quite big enough. I think they would be. Would they be disappointed? Well, they're not the size of a fish shop fish, so they might be a little bit disappointed. So, not entirely sure. Not entirely sure, but they don't pay a lot of money, so. Here we go. Right, so these have already been soaking in the batter. So, that. Yeah, I kind of thought they might go a little bit like squid tentacles, because they're a little bit stringy, these seafood sticks. So I kind of thought they might go a little bit like fake octopus or type of thing with the tentacles. So we'll just kind of have to see. But they're already cooked, so it's not going to be too much of a. It's not going to be too much of a cooking process. All we really need to do is to crisp the batter. So, are they? They're not really big enough for the portions that I normally serve. They're normally like a proper plate full of food. But it would be. Oh look, that's really nice and crisp. So, I think the price difference would be like another £3 on top of. So a fish that would be twice the size would probably cost £3 more. So you kind of go like, well, it'd be twice the size, but it'd be £3 more. Would they want to pay £3 more than normal for their meal? And you kind of think, no, they wouldn't. I wouldn't know how much fish and chips cost in the fish and chip shop anymore, to be honest. It's not something that I buy, and if we do have fish and chips, it's normally in a restaurant as a bit of a treat rather than going to a fish and chip takeaway. Anyway, so those are floating. We'll see how those turn out. I don't think they're just going to be quite big enough. It's not a bad size. It's not a bad size. But I think that people moan. Anyway, so we'll see what these are like. And then, oh no, we'll just eat into one of these and see what kind of it's like. Batter's alright. It's crisp batter. And the fish is nice. Considering it's frozen fish. Yeah, nice. But I don't want to have to give two. But that is the. So I don't know how much of these. I don't know how many fillets. Hang on. Yes. So I think you get 7 fillets for about £2.50. Certainly wouldn't get. We'll just pause. Right, we'll put a lid on that and turn those off. So it probably would be even cost effective to give 2 per portion. So 2 would be a fish that you buy from the wholesalers would be double the size, so and be still more expensive than 2 of these smaller ones. So maybe that's kind of like a way of doing it, and then they would kind of appreciate 2 bits of battered fish. Maybe that's a way around it. But anyway, and certainly cut the cost down. I don't know how. Do you know, there might have been almost like maybe £4 a fillet from the wholesalers, whereas you're looking at, for 2 of those, you're looking at less than £1, aren't you? Yeah, less than 70p. And 21. Yeah, about 70p. So still a lot more cost effective. But anyway, so food for thought for me. But I always kind of think if I'm faffing around with something in the kitchen, if I'm working something out, I always make a video about it, because if I don't make a video about it, something interesting happens. And I'm certainly not one of these people who practices it a load of times and then films it once when I've got it correct. I just kind of think, oh, let's just have a go, let's have a faff, let's film it and see what happens. You just end up with loads of food waste if you do that. But so, that wanted to explode, did that one. But how do they taste? So they've kind of split open a little bit. So we'll cut into both. Or just bite into. They're like fishy goujons. So they work, they're nice. If you're wanting some cheap fried fish, you can certainly buy some seafood sticks and deep fry them and make some like seafood bites type of thing. Pretend to call it fritto misto and all that kind of stuff. They work, but they're a little bit small, and we couldn't sandwich two together. We'd just have to kind of serve two, which they would absolutely love, and then I'd probably be able to keep the menu cost down at the normal price rather than having to rise it. So, from my point of view, success.